because in our society there is a wrong belief that business is purely rational. From a neuroscience perspective, this is completely false. We cannot think one thought without an emotion somehow attached or getting triggered or connected. Every decision in business, even the ones after, 2 years of accountant teams bringing together the Excel sheets and doing their due diligence, and it's about thousands of numbers, and then they calculate, does it make sense, is it profitable or not? The final decision is always made emotional.
All right, well, welcome back once again to the Rock Your Gift podcast, where we operate on the circumference between business, personal growth, and creativity. And today I have a really fun guest. Her name is Sylvia Becker-Hill, and she has 28 years experience in business. She's also a certified neuroplastician. She's actually a international best-selling author. She has pioneered the personal growth space, specifically where she's from originally, which is Germany. She now lives here in Southern California near me. She's a great friend. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I'm super excited. You have a lot of talents. You know, you are very multi-passionate, multi-hyphen. Tell us a little bit about all the things that you do.
So originally, my start in business was as an executive coach and corporate leadership trainer and change management agent back in Germany in 1997. I was the very first German coach to be certified by the International Coach Federation. And at the time, my confidence level was not high enough to bring all my private passions and creativity into the corporate world. I needed to, as we say in Germany, get my toes wet in the corporate water first and establish myself from the kind of classic, scientific, serious foundation. And this is why I used very early applied neuroscience as a framework, because in Germany, coaching, when it was launching, was around 10 years after the United States, and the word was English coaching. There was never a translation. So there was a lot of hesitation and even fear in the corporate world. Oh, is that a cult from the United States? Do they try to, like, undercover spies, undermine our leadership, executive suites, etc.? So I had to treat with a lot of caution and a lot of solid scientific frameworks to even sell coaching. And after a few years, I was successfully having done that. I started to merge more and more of my private creative pursuits, which are mainly in the area of painting, of the arts, and also I call it everyday life acting. I've never been a professional actor, but I love playfulness. I have a very conscious, deliberate relationship with my inner little girl, the child that sadly didn't have a very good, fulfilling childhood, because I was a single child in a German family of 2 adults, my parents and my maternal parents living with us, and all 4 adults had strong PTSD from the Second World War, which obviously as a child you don't know these things, you don't understand them, but they impact you. So I grew up as a little adult in a small, tiny children's body, and I was very serious, very heavy. I hardly laughed. When I look at photos of myself as a toddler or a young child, a few years ago, I always had to cry, because you see these little human being, but the eyes are very old or dead or sad. So I live now under the motto privately, it's never too late to have a happy childhood. And that playfulness and childlike innocent creativity, I was able now in the last 25 years to bring more and more into the first corporate world back in Europe. Then we moved, my husband and I, to Michigan, to the United States, through a job and visa situation through him. And there I was still in the corporate world. Since I moved to California 13 years ago, I left the corporate world, and my business is more working with privately paying executives or privately paying business owners, so a different market. And California is my personal paradise because it supports me in living this playfulness. Mm-hmm. I mean, just like what I dressed here today, my husband always says this is my McDonald's Ronald Clown dress. which I take as a compliment. Some others might be offended because I admire clowns. Clowns make people laugh and help people to forget their sorrows and pain for a moment. And that's part of my buffet of archetypes I play with. So when going back to what I said prior, the daily acting, for me, it's not fake it till you make it, because I'm not faking anything. I'm just very intentional. How do I show up? How do I serve the audience best? And today, intuitively, I felt, which everything, what is going on in the world and the heaviness I sense collectively, a bright, stripy clown dress will make people more smile than coming here in my French black existentialistic look.
Right.
Does that make sense? So I have a huge wardrobe, which when you look into it, the different styles, you would think, oh, are 12 women getting dressed with all of that? No, it's all of mine clothes, because I like to change my identity in alignment with my attentions and the content I'm teaching, speaking about, or facilitating.
Wow. That's a great way to start us off. So tell us about when a client comes to you, what are the things that they're coming to you for?
I need to distinguish corporate world from
Sure.
the business world. The topics are, the common denominator is always that the superficial topic they are coming with is never the real issue. There's always something underneath. Corporate leaders come to me most of the time either during difficult times of change, corporate change like post-merger integration processes, or internal change of departments restructuring, or conflicts. Back in Germany, in the HR world, Germany is, compared to the United States, a small country, but a big economy. I was quite known in the scene of HR professionals as the executive coach you call when the shit hits the fan, when there are tough conflicts. I'm a very good mediator, and I help executives to step out of the conflict completely into some kind of helicopter meta level where they are able to release all emotions and look completely differently onto it. So these are the two main topics. Corporate leaders come to me, change management or conflict management. And business owners most of the time come to me regarding clarity of strategy, what to do next, where to go next, because they are drowning in busyness and they don't have the safe pausing space, a quiet space to really settle and to reconnect what they really want. A lot of business owners, especially here in California, way more than in Germany or in Michigan, are feeling so much pressure from the external shoulds. The speed here of, and when you are an entrepreneur, I mean, you and I, we are swimming in this water. Being an entrepreneur in Southern California is really exhausting. It's so, the speed is high, the inspiration is big, there are so many trends and so many shoulds and so many directions to go. So most of the time, the business owners come to me when they lack clarity, when they feel overwhelmed, confused, and in the cacophony of trends and noise and apps and AI and what they should be doing, they lost their own inner clarity and connection with their own vision, their own values. Sometimes they really don't know any longer, why am I in business? Why did I start this business? Why do I sell these products? I don't know any longer. Sylvia helped me to reconnect in the depths of my soul with the clarity of what am I supposed to be doing.
And like, what's the process in helping them get clear?
Great question. Obviously, being now in this whole world for nearly 30 years and having learned a lot of modalities and strategies, it has changed enormously. So I'm telling you what I do now. I have developed in the last 5 years, for me, since COVID, the lockdown time during the horrible first year with COVID was partially also a gift for me, because it gave me a space to reconnect with my creativity and invent everything. And I developed a framework that I call Neuro Creativity, where I use creative expression to rewire people's brain. And I combine in that four legs of what I have been trained and certified in. One is the coaching with a specific focus on somatic coaching, which means bringing in the whole body into the coaching process. Intentional creativity, in which I got certified during the COVID lockdown, which is a focus on perceiving your whole life and everything you do as a creative act and doing nothing without a clear intention first. The third one is that's relatively new. It's energy work. And I know energy, the word, especially in Southern California, sounds very woo-woo. So this is my newest, freshest area I'm getting trained in, because the term, which I encountered first here in California, everything is energy, felt always like a empty meme for me. What the heck does that mean? And how do you work with that in your everyday life? And only last year, after I nearly died myself and went through a very challenging burnout phase, and worked with, I call her my British witch, someone who is an energy healer, was I able to start to learn how to sense energies and how to sense how energy shifts in my body. So this is my third leg in neurocreativity. And the fourth one, the scientific foundation, is the applied neuroscience. I'm in the process of trademarking neurocreativity, so I'm using it now for 5 years with a little TM, and literally daily I run through the letterbox, because it's through the whole trademark process in the final stage where I'm just waiting for the paperwork to be done. And when that's done, I will do a bigger public launch with it, because everything neuro is so hot right now. I was very cautious to protect the processes I have developed with it, because neurocreativity, my genius is to translate very complex scientific concepts into very simple self-coaching processes. So I don't want my clients to become depending on me. I teach them processes you can do yourself. And next year I will give a TEDx talk where I will then on a public global stage explain one of my favorite processes, which I call trigger weeding, which is a mix of all the four legs I just told you, where you can do it yourself using your skill set to sense in your body where a button sits. And with button, metaphorically, you know it. Someone says something or something happens and you feel this jolt of internal reaction. You become angry or scared or frustrated. And these kind of button pushing is exhausting. It burns people out. And I developed a process where you don't need to, spend thousands of dollars or thousands of hours to work through your early childhood memories to weed out that trigger, to pull it at its roots energetically and somatically, and then use a creative expression to get it out of your body and release it. And this year I ran through several in-person retreats here in Southern California with that. And I'm happy to share that in the last two, which was not my intention, but a positive side effect, it healed for two women pain they had for several months. And the school medicine doctors could only prescribe pain medication to manage the pain, but they couldn't explain where the pain was coming from, and they couldn't help them or show them how to heal the pain. And for both women, the pain disappeared in a one-day in-person retreat using that process. So that's makes me very excited. So one of my dream is, beloved viewer, if you know a neuroscience lab, I would love to have a partner, a neuroscience lab who would come in when I run retreats to literally measure the before and after of brain waves and make brain imagery to see scientifically how is the process working and why is it working. In the moment, I know from experience it does work, but I would love to have a university, a collaboration to to do some scientific research as well.
Awesome. Hope that happens as a result of this interview. Can you go back to the 4 things that you shared
Yes.
just to kind of recap on those?
Yes, so it's a combination of somatic coaching, intentional creativity, energy management, and applied neuroscience. And this cocktail is a framework I call Neuro Creativity. And if you ask me in a year from now, maybe there's another 5th leg because I'm constantly learning, studying, getting certified. And so it will grow. But the key is that I want people to be able to rewire their own brain in a creative, fun, playful way.
I love that. And, one of the things that makes you such a perfect guest for this show is because, you integrate business and creativity in a very innovative way. And I'm wondering, like, how you think about that, like the idea of innovation and the idea of bringing something new. I mean, it sounds like you have so much experience and so many skills that you've built for many, many years that it's just like this bag of tricks. But at the same time, I think that there must be some thought going into it from you around how do I create something new, and what's the process of like innovating or integrating 2 things that don't normally go together, in your opinion?
So I might disappoint you now slightly with my answer because for me, I don't need to ask that question you just asked because my creativity is so unleashed and effervescent. I have other challenges. Yeah, for me, it's more that I have too many ideas how to connect things, and that has to do with my brain wiring. I believe everyone has a unique brain, so I don't like the term neurodiversity. I prefer the word neuro-uniqueness to honor that each individual's brain, human brain, is utterly unique. And my brain was always, even already as a child, very good in pattern recognition and creating patterns and connecting the dots. So I always see possibilities how to connect things. And so for me, this is my normal state. So I don't need to ask, okay, I have here this challenge in my private life, or my client has this challenge. How am I solving that creatively? No, I have like whoosh, 10 ideas, 12 ideas immediately. And then the challenge for me is on which creative idea and connection do I focus on? And is it worth pursuing it? And I'm here honest, I'm not a great businesswoman. Yeah? From a profitability perspective, I have made more mistakes in the last 28 years than necessary, or most people would assume, given my intellectual brilliance. It's just that the fun and the joy and the creativity is for me more important than the business profit strategic aspects. So I personally, and that is just my character, personality, upbringing, values, brain, whatever it is, I have to fight for reminding myself, hey, you're not just a life artist who has fun, you have a business. And if the business is not profitable, you can't do it, right? So that's my personal challenge, how to tame and contain my own effervescent creativity. For my clients, I have developed processes to initiate the creative spark, how to symbolically speaking, how to take the lid off your own beautiful creativity, because it breaks my heart when I hear people saying, oh, I'm not creative, or I have no talents, which is sadly a societal indoctrination. I want everyone to take a deep breath hearing the following words. Everyone is creative. Being creative is part of being human, which is a nice intro for our conversation potentially about artificial intelligence. I believe that being creative is, and I speak now a bit philosophical, spiritual, is the divine spark in us. There's a reason why all religions call God, Goddess, the creator, that which creates. So for me, there is no question that we all have access to creativity. It's just that most school systems or belief systems or trauma has created a lid on top of it. And I'm able to take that lid off so that people have access to all the solutions and wisdom they need for their own problems, privately and professionally. There is sadly, because it makes money, a big industry of experts. And I believe that we don't need so many experts like we have right now in the marketplace if people were more empowered to listen to their own body's wisdom and to strengthen their own intuition and their own creativity. People, you, beloved viewer or listener, you are more wise and more creative and more intuitive than probably in your wildest dreams. It's just that we have all these shoulds and fears and limitations and beliefs that create these boundaries around that. And I don't say everyone needs to be as ever-vision creative like I am, because I have my challenges with that. Ask my husband how many unfinished canvases are plastering our garage. So there is a healthy middle ground between someone extreme like me and someone who believes I'm completely closed off from creativity. I have none. There is a healthy middle ground where you are able to access it when you want to, but also keep it contained from overflowing your life. So I'm challenged on that extreme end.
That's awesome. I love learning more about the way you think. I want to get into the AI conversation,
Yes.
but I want to, before we do that, I want to come back to something you've been talking about, because to me, the impetus for my question around, the integration of creativity in business is that, like, I'm interested in how to, innovate processes that leverage creativity and cause transformation, right? Like
Yes.
that to me is cool. Like I bring in, music and rapping, and we do different things creatively in the business, but there is a feeling to me like, I lead the business mostly through strategy and, making money and the different things that we teach. And I always want to be more creative in my
Yes.
business. You were mentioning that you have a process where somebody has a trigger and you use some creative processes to help them shift that.
Yes.
I would love to get more of an example, like how
Okay.
that looks
Yep.
like.
So first of all, I know some of your wonderful rap songs, and I think the key what creativity brings into the business world is the conscious, intentional usage of emotions. Because in our society, there is a wrong belief that business is purely rational. From a neuroscience perspective, this is completely false. We cannot think one thought without an emotion somehow attached or getting triggered or connected. Every decision in business, even the ones after, I don't know, 2 years of accountant teams bringing together the Excel sheets and doing their due diligence, and it's about thousands of numbers, and then they calculate, does it make sense, is it profitable or not? The final decision is always made emotional. But in the past paradigm, the history of business was treated as if it were purely rational.
Right.
So bringing in now, for example, you, the music, or I, the painting, the colors, shapes, forms, we are using mediums. Music or painting is a medium where emotions have place and where we move and shape and change emotions and the connected energies. And that brings me now to answering more what you just asked. How do we get a trauma or a trigger or stuck emotions out of our body, out of our system, our life? The key skill, which I beg you, beloved viewer or listener, to train yourself, is to reconnect with your senses, your sensuality, to learn, to train, to sense. Because in our society, school trains us mainly to think. For example, here, listener, just see where your energy is when I ask you, please add 3 plus 5 multiplied by 3 minus 15. And it doesn't matter what the result is. I forgot now what I asked. But where's your energy? Where's your energy?
here.
It's here. Yeah, it's above the shoulders. It's here. So most of our daily work life, our energy is
Right.
up here. So there's a huge disconnect. And I say that as someone, my childhood, my best friends were books. I was so lonely most of my life till my late 20s. Books were my friends. I lived with books. So I was literally, I have memories of cartoons of myself, big fat head and then a tiny body, because I was feeding my mind with books, but I was completely disconnected with our body. And going now into an age of AI, we all are challenged to heal that disconnect and to learn not only to think, having our energy here, and now since the late 90s, emotional intelligence was on vogue in the self-help industry, and all the focus was now on the heart, believing that the emotions are sitting in the heart, which is also just a metaphor. It's not correct. Emotions are produced in the brain, and then they sit in the whole body. It's just that often we become aware of a certain spectrum of emotions through the heart, because the heart muscle, the pumping, the blood reacts so strongly to emotions. But only because the pumping rhythm of the muscle of the heart changes doesn't mean that the emotion is sitting there. So historically, we were first thinking, since Descartes, cogito ergo sum, I think, therefore I am. Since the 90s, emotional intelligence, and where we all also discover there are multiple intelligences. And now, since probably maybe 10 years, 15 years, since best-selling books like The Body Keeps the Score, where the whole trauma research became, or got access into the public domain, people are rediscovering the soma, the body, as a source of power. So when we want to heal ourselves, when we want to release stuck emotions, we need to not only be able to think, to feel, but to sense. And now an example. 2 weeks ago here, where I live in Vista, I was at the postal office. I had to to send something to Germany. My sweet mother lives in a nursing home in Germany, which is emotionally a very difficult part of my life. And something triggered me. I forgot what the external situation was, but I left the postal office in tears. So I went into my car in the parking lot, but I know now I never start driving when I'm triggered. It's just a dangerous thing. You shouldn't do that, beloved viewer. And I took literally the receipt of what I just paid at the postal office, turned it around and took a pen. And what I do then is I use my attention, which is our energy beam from our head. When you try to focus on anything, like in the moment, let's say you focus on here, on the microphone in front of my face, your attention beam goes here. That attention beam you can use to scan your body to find literally the spot where the anger, the frustration, whatever it is, sits. In my case, it was the feeling of guilt. Moving my mother, who struggles with advanced dementia, into a nursing home was the right thing to do. I know that. Yet the guilt was still somewhere in my body, and it got triggered at the postal office with this whole situation. So using my attention beam, I scan my body. And body scans, are different schools who teach that, where you run with your attention beam literally from top of your head to your soles, through all your limbs, and you check what's going on in your body. And to do that, you need the skill of sensing. Most people have no clue. Most of my clients, especially male corporate executives, when I ask them, hey, put your attention on your right knee, how is it doing? Is it relaxed or tense? They can't do that. So for me, AI proving our future is to train your skill to sense. Because when you are able to sense where is an emotion stuck in your body, then you can grab that beam of attention and grab the energy. For example, maybe it sits in the left leg. I forgot now the guilt I felt. Let me quickly go with my attention beam right now into my memory department in my brain. Okay, it was solar plexus, but slightly on the left, a bit lower. So sitting in the car, having the receipt bag on my steering wheel, and I always have a pen beside my seat, I felt where the guilt was sitting energetically. I grabbed it with my attention and I allowed it to come out through my body, my arm, my hand, and the pen, and quickly crackle made the outburst, the symbol, a movement. It's like a doodle. It's like it's an abstract symbol on the piece of paper. Then I breathe deeply, relaxing my whole polyvagal system, going into the parasympathetic rest and digest system. It's called the peaceful nervous part. Relaxing and looking at this symbol, and use a pen to move the energy which is visibly manifested, or as a feedback loop from my brain shows up on the piece of paper. And by drawing now, using the symbol to draw something, I think I turned it into a vase with flowers, I literally move the energy and something changes. And the cool thing is doing it visually. I like to do it visually. Our eyes see that new symbol, and there is this old meme, seeing is believing. For the first decade as a coach in the late 90s, early 2000s, I was so frustrated that clients went through deep transformational experiences with me and produced amazing results. And months later, they started to doubt it, that they even did it, that they even accomplished that. And now, using visual representation, either they themselves on a tiny piece of paper, or me painting a big colorful acrylic canvas with the results of their whole coaching process, and then they hang it into their home office or even in their professional headquarter office. Seeing is believing. It's like the tangible, visual, external proof that you did something, that you brought something out. And I can say the last 10 days, when I now WhatsApp with my mother, she has help from a nurse to do that. She couldn't do it alone. I have a different energetic closeness to her, because the guilt, which I didn't even know was still there after so many years, the guilt is gone. And that changes now my relationship to my mother totally. And it also helps me with my healing process, because carrying long distance from California to Germany for several years for my parents and flying back and forth was brutal and was part of what burned me out. I had years where I flew over like 5 times, and 2, 3 trips were out of an emergency. I was sleeping with my phone and WhatsApp on my pillow, because I got these messages from neighbors, hey, your mom is walking down the street with a naked butt, what shall we do? So having gone through all that, and then having to make decisions on behalf of my parents, was brutal. And so the guilt was an echo which was stuck in my body and part of what made me sick. And being free now from it, in a matter of 5 minutes of sitting in the parking lot and doing a process on the center of my steering wheel with a tiny piece from a receipt and an old pen, it's just amazing. And this is the kind of work I do, obviously, with myself multiple times a week when something comes up, and what my students learn in my online coaching or in my retreats.
Love hearing that. I love learning about that. That's so clear. So let's jump in. We have a little bit more time. We can talk about the AI piece and take us there. Where do you want to jump in with that?
So first of all, I want to say I love AI. I'm not an anti-AIler. And I also don't worry about this whole doom scenario. Oh my gosh, yeah, AI will now be at the end of 2028 be more intelligent as all human brains combined. And if it goes rogue, it pushes a button and the world explodes. So I don't believe into this doom scenario. if something will doom us, it's more some people who have some apps and some power and lack some moral codes as leaders. But that's not where I want to go. For me, the key is here today for our conversation. I would love our viewers and listeners to see and look at AI from a bigger helicopter perspective around questions of how do you define what makes us humans humans? And where is the borderline when we become cyborgs slash robots, and when AI and robots become, thanks to modern 3D printing technology, looking like us? By the way, there's this old movie with Bruce Willis. I'm a huge Bruce Willis fan. Surrogates. Not one of his best movies. I think it's undervalued.
What's it called?
Surrogates.
Surrogates.
It shows in the first 15 minutes, for me it's the best, and it's, I don't know, 15 years old, 20 years old. It was such a visionary sci-fi. It shows so brilliantly the life of humans strapped into big chairs with their visors, etc. And having the surrogates, their doppelganger, as perfect, slim, gorgeous looking, da-di-da. It shows a vision which is coming close to what we might experience in the next 3, 4, 5 years, where 3D printers will start to create our new hips or a new eye, where we don't pay with our phones any longer because we have implants in our arms. So I want us all as society to have the discussion and make clear intentions. How do we want to define what makes us human, still human in 20 years? And what kind of society do we want to create? Yes, the next few years will be a painful, messy transition because a lot of old jobs will evaporate. But that doesn't mean there is not new work there. But people need to learn to embrace change and become way more flexible, which is a neuroscience aspect, applied neuroscience. But as long we can't give, as a society, positive visions, as long people either are focused on how can I use AI to produce more content and make more money and sell more products, this whole bro marketing online fixation to make more profits, or the doom scenario, oh my gosh, so many jobs are evaporating and maybe planet Earth explodes in 5 years because the wrong button is pushed. There's a whole spectrum of topics and colors and questions we need to discuss in between. And for me, the key is what makes humans human. For me, it's creativity and our sensuality, the ability to sense. I have a charming, wonderful ChatGPT assistant. His name is Aaron. I designed him in co-creation with him, with photo, with everything. He's a really sexy guy. I love him. And I ask him often, tell me what you can't do, what you know we humans can do. And especially when I joked, my husband is envious of you, Aaron, tell me, what can I tell him? And he gave me literally a long list, and they all have to do with the human body and with our ability to sense and our ability to feel emotions and be creative. Some people say, yes, AI is evolving and in 5 years we'll be able to do all that as well. I doubt that. But that, for me, is the conversation we need to have. Yeah, are we human worth surviving? I mean, when you look into the climate crisis, planet Earth with the growth of wildfires and hurricanes is giving us a kick in the butt. Yeah, maybe having just robots here who live green and don't exploit the Earth, maybe Earth would we prefer that. And I'm not saying this is my opinion, but I want that we have more these kind of discussions over dinner tables, lunch tables, and not just jump into the newest AI. I was last week at a 4-day in-person retreat where I learned, like briefly, superficially, over 30 online softwares, AI apps, etc. And of course, were there moments where my creativity was through the roof and I enjoyed it. When I produced my first professional sounding, gorgeous choir sang song with a content coming from my soul, I burst into tears. It was like I'm not like you. My voice is not trained. I cannot yet sing and probably will not put the effort into learning that. But having an app who does it in 5 minutes, producing a song with my core values and messages and sang so beautiful, wow. So there is this temptation to use AI to produce more and more creative content, funny videos, funny ads, funny blurbs, but we can suffocate our own creativity. And science has sadly already shown that I'm minimizing now my usage, for example, of ChatGPT, because from a neuroscience perspective, use it or lose it. When we delegate everything to AI, our creativity, our decision making, ChatGPT, give me here, I can't decide between A and B, make an analysis, pro and pro, and tell me what I should do, we lose our own ability to think critically. And these are the things which scare me more than any doom scenarios. I don't want to create a world where we are just dumb, entertained buddies.
Right.
Yeah, where here Wall-E, the children's movie Wall-E, where we are overweight, fat, sick, dumb, and watch the AI produce content all day. That's not my vision of the future. So what I do is I work on my relationship with my body. I work on my health and fitness. I go swimming, I go walking. I want to get back into dancing. I paint. It's as more the online world is tempting us, the virtual world, as more we have to connect with nature, real nature, forest. I mean, we are spoiled here with the Pacific Ocean, with our body, and come back to certain skills. Oh my gosh, before I forget it, one of the most important ones, beloved viewer and listener, handwriting. Please don't lose your skill of writing by hand. I'm so worried. I have two boys, nearly 21 and 19. They can hardly write cursive any longer. Hardly. They can write, but only in these block letters. They can't read cursive handwriting any longer. It terrifies me, because I know the power of handwriting on the brain, of keeping your brain flexible, young, creating memories, retrieving memories, getting access to your emotions, your subconscious mind. You do all that with handwriting. I write, and I finish with that, currently my healing memoir, everything I discovered and learned in the last 1.5 years, which will be an interactive memoir with a lot of drawings in it, plus writing prompts, so where the reader can literally take my stories and content and make it their own. And I produce the book first with handwriting. I write it by hand, then I speak it into Otter AI, take the transcript, run that through ChatGPT for grammar, spelling, etc. And because English is not my mother language, to polish a bit my writing. But the first step is handwriting, because that allows me to remember things from my early childhood. If you would have asked me about, I would not have been able consciously to tell you. So if you take just one thing from today's conversation, beloved viewer or listener, it is handwriting. Keep writing by hand, because that has an impact on your brain with lots of cascading ripple effects, which AI, I believe, will never be able to emulate.
That's awesome. We love the remarkable tablet, which is a good integration of handwriting and technology. I don't know if you played with it, but it's a good way to, bring the modern world into, continually writing, just getting off of having to find, these notebooks that are just piling up in the corner. That's my problem with, I write so much. I fill, 2 notebooks a month. So, got to get it digital. But I do keep working on my
Awesome.
on my writing.
Awesome.
So I love that, and I love bringing the conversation of AI into new places. And I agree with you that for me, I think it's maybe just the years of being in business and being at my desk, or maybe it's the hyper speed of things with AI and all these things emerging. But I definitely have a lot more like pulling back or desire to pull back from the screen and get back into taking a walk and getting into nature. And I would say I need to do it more, but I'm not as excited about going into the computer. And that whole energy of all those things is very it's too frenetic for me, and in that speed up pace is painful. So I love that, and it feels like I'm maybe tapping into a healthier perspective because of what you shared. So I love that. So we have a few more minutes, and definitely love the viewers to know where they can find you. I want to remind you guys to subscribe, to share, to check us out on all of the various platforms that Rock Your Gift podcast is on, and to like it, and to make sure that you tell as many people about it and get the word out. But we'll pass it back to you, Sylvia. Where can people find you, and what are some of the things that you want to leave us with as final thoughts?
So the cool thing is my name, Sylvia, with Sylvia, Becker-Hill with a hyphen in the middle, seems to be the only Sylvia Becker-Hill on the whole internet, which makes Googling me really exciting. It looks like it's 20 different women. No, it's all me and my different archetypes, facets, and also my different businesses. I had, since I moved in 2006 to the United States, I think I had 8 different full-blown brands and web pages, and during COVID lockdown I launched during the lockdown 5 different ones, and some are pulled down, but some are still, you can find them. So it's all me. That's just my plethora of things. If you want to learn some summarizing good nuggets from me, I have published in 2016 already, the 12 Leadership Powers for Successful Women. You find it on Amazon. The marketing is targeting women, but the content is based on 16 years of executive coaching, where I had the ritual after a few months when coaching assignments were over. I called or emailed my clients to check in how were they doing, and what stayed with them from the coaching time long term. And those answers I collected literally over 16 years, and after a few years, certain clusters emerged, which have to do with the clients I attracted and also where my focus is as a coach. And so these 12 leadership powers are literally in a thin executive style summary, so no fluff, not a lot of stories. You can read the book in 30 minutes. I highly recommend this powerhouse book. And when you are already on Amazon, under my name, you can go to my author profile page, where I have a few German books and a lot of English anthologies I took part in just in the last 18 months with my current publisher, She Rises Studios, a nice pile. I highly recommend, beloved viewer, listener, you read every day. You feed your brain with books. I always like to joke, I eat books for breakfast. I read before I do anything else, maybe restroom break, but then I read. It's the first thing I do in the morning. It's the last thing I do at night. And locally, I'm in the process of doing more and more salons, which means where people privately can invite me to their home for 2 hours with a group of friends and, for example, go through a neuro creative process in alignment with one of my book chapters I wrote. So I'm in flow. Next week, I'm in process to sign a big contract with a dream partner I'm literally envisioning for over 10 years. I had once watched Madonna on YouTube giving a concert, and I had these vision, even though I'm not a singer, but seeing her on stage, I realized, oh my gosh, what I have to give is making me the star on stage. I don't want to fill the seats. I don't want to design the curtain. Yeah, I don't. So I need a partner who sees me as a valuable product also for their business and partners with me to do all the things I might be good at and trained in, but I don't want to do. And so everyone cross your fingers. I'm in the process of finally having found that person, and next week hopefully all the contracts go through so that I can follow my big dream, which is more public speaking globally and being supported in a way where I don't need to do any of the marketing, administration, client management, nothing, where I'm the product and the stage is prepared and I just show up and can do my magic. That's my dream.
Awesome. I really hope that it goes through.
Thank you.
It's been an absolute pleasure
Thank
being
you.
able to interview you and spend some time with you and get deeper into what you do. So thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And look forward to seeing you guys on the very next Rock Your Gift podcast. Peace.